The trial for a boy accused of shooting a police officer comes to an emotional end. This is 13 News Now. I'm Regina Mobley.
And I'm Philip Townsend. Janet Roach has the night off. So today in Portsmouth, a jury found 16-year-old William Patterson Jr. guilty of 12 charges, including attempted capital murder of a police officer.
Now he faces a life sentence. 13 News Now reporter Jacqueline Lee spoke with police and prosecutors about the verdict.
Regina, officers I spoke with said this was a long time coming. They're happy to have found justice for Officer Backlini. However, this is a tragic situation for both sides. A police officer almost lost her life, but now a 16-year-old boy may have to spend the rest of his life in a prison cell. The trial spanned this entire week. The prosecution tried to prove that Patterson maliciously and deliberately planned to attempt to kill Officer Angelina Backlini back in November. The defense insisted that Patterson was targeted and ultimately unfairly treated by Officer Backlini in the moments leading up to the shooting. Today, after the jury unanimously found Patterson guilty of all 12 charges, I caught up with the president of the Portsmouth Fraternal Order of Police. I asked him what he wanted to say to the Patterson family.
And I mean no disrespect, but it's a shame that his family, both his blood family and his street family, weren't able to push him in the right direction. So it's unfortunate for him, but honestly, it's great for the rest of society. In Portsmouth right now, that's one less murderer or attempted murderer that we have to look for.
Patterson faces a maximum punishment of 2 life sentences plus
3 years. His sentencing hearing is scheduled for July 10th. Live in studio, Jacqueline Lee, 13 News Now.
And after the verdict came down, Portsmouth Police Chief Tanya Chapman released a statement. We're going to show it to you here. Part of that statement reads, "Each day that a police officer puts on the uniform and goes to work, they do so with the understanding that there's a chance that they may not come home to their loved ones. However, the duty to protect and serve their community calls to these brave men and women every day and certainly outweighs the risks they may face."
Time to check now on the weather because it feels like a beach day out there. This is a live look at the Virginia Beach ocean front. A lot of people made their way to the sand today thanks to these wonderful temperatures in the 80s. Let's check it now with Jeff.
And if you like today, you're really going to like tomorrow, which I'm sure makes a lot of people happy considering a lot of us had to work today. But for the weekend, really similar, certainly tomorrow and even Sunday, there are a lot of similarities. There's nothing at all on radar. When you start getting the heat, the humidity eventually will build up. We'll be looking off to the west for some storm formation, but there's nothing out there right now. Currently, temperature at 82 degrees, as warm as we've been all day. It's been a little bit windy out there. Quite breezy with winds at 21 miles per hour, but occasionally gusting even higher than that. Remember, yesterday we had a dew point down into the 30s, which gave us a really low humidity. Well, even today, the humidity's up a little bit, or the dew point's up a bit, but still the humidity only at 34%. So nothing like we typically see in the summer. As we get into the weekend, as I mentioned, we will start to see a few changes, but the next 12 hours, we go from really, really warm for this time of year to just warm for this time of year to overnight. It's still well above normal, but at least it's cool, and that'll be down to 62 degrees by morning, and then temperatures will be recovering. I'll let you know about the Sunday sort of, quote, fly in the ointment as we have some storms potentially, maybe even a couple of stronger ones. We'll talk more about the timing coming up.
Thanks, Jeff. All right, a woman is behind bars accused of running 2 people down with her SUV. Norwood police arrested Tajay Drew yesterday. She's now charged with reckless driving and malicious wounding. Here's what police say happened yesterday. A woman was at a restaurant on Shoup Avenue off of Tidewater Drive. She steps outside to break up a fight. Police say sometime after that, Drew hit the woman and another man with her SUV. Investigators say both victims should be okay, but witnesses say, and they tell us, that the woman's injuries were pretty bad. Drew is now in jail without bond.
A man is wanted for a deadly crash on the interstate. Police responded to the wreck on Interstate 664 in Hampton near Power Plant Parkway. They say a man was driving with 2 women and 2 children when he lost control and crashed. Police say that driver ran off. Javon Lowther was one of the women in the car. She did not survive. The other woman and the kids are expected to be okay. Coming up on 13 News Now at 5, we'll have the latest developments in both cases.
The victim in a deadly crash on the Western Freeway has been identified. Portsmouth police say 52-year-old Albert White of Newport News was driving yesterday morning. That's when he lost control, crashed into a tractor trailer, and was thrown from his car. He was killed. The tractor trailer driver was not hurt.
Drivers in York County are expressing their frustration with the traffic lights on Route 17. Their concern is that some signals are being skipped, forcing them to sit at a red light longer than others. Many are writing on social media and reaching out to VDOT. According to VDOT, the signals on Route 17 are programmed to change based on the number of cars at a light. They say because of the regular readjustments, the perception is that a signal has been skipped.
We sit at that light every day, and some of the drivers don't pull up to the line, so we're just sitting there. And we even experienced one time where another driver came out and actually knocked on the other driver's door to move up.
VDOT also adds that pulling up to the stop bar helps trigger a signal.
Teens looking for work this summer have a little while longer to check out jobs at Oceana today. The base is holding a job fair until 5:30 tonight. It's at the Oceana Youth Sports and Fitness Complex. Now, there are more than 20 employers, both on and off base. That includes places like Busch Gardens, Newport News Shipbuilding, and the Coast Guard. This is the 11th year the base has hosted a teen job and educational fair.
There is also a push to help workers hurt by recent store closures. Opportunity Inc. is hosting a job fair next week. We're told this is in response to the closures of Farm Fresh grocery stores and Toys R Us. The Virginia Employment Commission says those closures will affect more than 3,000 Hampton Roads workers. But anyone looking for a job is welcome to attend. The job fair is Wednesday from 2 to 6 at the Virginia Beach Convention Center. A special gathering of war fighters is taking place this weekend in Norfolk. It's the A6 Intruder Association.
Now, the plane has been retired now for more than 2 decades, but 13 News Now reporter Mike Gooding tells us the A6 may be gone, but it's definitely not forgotten.
The A6 Intruder was the Navy and Marine Corps' principal medium and all-weather night attack aircraft from the mid-1960s through the 1990s, serving from the Vietnam War through Operation Desert Storm and beyond, until its eventual retirement in 1997. The aviators who flew it loved it.
It's the only one I ever wanted to fly.
This week, they're gathering in Norfolk for the annual A6 Intruder Association reunion at the Sheraton Waterside Hotel, with more than 700 active duty veterans, families, and friends in attendance. Reunion Chairman Bill Davis was an A6 bombardier navigator from 1981 to 1993.
It's absolutely fantastic, awesome. With 3.5 decades of warfighters, guys that flew this airplane. I've met a couple of the guys that flew this airplane in the early 60s, and we've got the youngsters that finished up retiring the bird in the late 90s. So it's absolutely fantastic being around and hearing the stories.
The reunion was put together by the Norfolk-based Armed Forces Reunions, Inc. It's the largest military reunion company in the U.S. Owners Ted and Molly Day have hosted more than 3,000 reunions in over 150 cities nationwide since 1988. They say it's their honor to do so.
It's these kinds of amazing experiences that you really do step back and think, how did I get here? How do we know these folks on a personal basis?
I can take a minute and go, wow, this guy did something pretty spectacular for our country.
Mike Gooding, 13 News Now.
This weekend, some familiar faces will hit the football field for a good cause. It's the 50th Priority Charity Bowl. It's tomorrow in Norfolk. A lot of events going on with it, too. That includes a 1K and 5K run, a concert, and a celebrity flag football game. Those celebrities include 6 members of the 13 News Now family. Hey, I know them. The event raises money to help buy Christmas gifts for families who need a little help. The game is tomorrow at 4:30, and that's at ODU's Foreman Field.